If you're interested in trading or swapping your crypto, then you've most likely read about two types of cryptocurrency exchanges: centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges. Both are crypto exchanges, but they're fundamentally different. In this video, I'll talk about the similarities, differences, and limitations of CEXs and DEXes, including what each offers so that you can confidently choose which one you need to trade with. Okay, so first let's talk about what a crypto exchange actually is. Well, a crypto exchange is basically a marketplace where you can buy, sell, or swap crypto coins and tokens. So first we had centralized exchanges, the first generation platforms, and decentralized exchanges are the new generation platforms. Now, how transactions work and what features are available depend on the type of exchange you use. So then let's get into how a CEX and a DEX work. Let's first talk about centralized exchanges. Most of the cryptocurrency exchanges you're familiar with are most likely centralized. For example, Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, and Gemini are some of the biggest names out there. And for a lot of us, they're the first choice. But why are they popular? Well, being centralized means that trading at the platform is done with a centralized intermediary with an order book where orders are recorded and validated. All transactions happen within the exchange's database, and user information is processed and stored on the platform's servers. As part of the KYC and AML requirements, users of centralized exchanges are required to provide personal data and bank details when signing to make sure that there is no foul play such as money laundering. Now, newbies love centralized exchanges because of the simplicity of trading. You choose the coins you want, you confirm the transaction, and voila! And another thing is that centralized exchanges are custodial, meaning they store users' funds in their wallets. Okay, so now let's go over to the other side, decentralized exchanges. So decentralized exchanges they're very similar to centralized exchanges in several ways, but they have numerous substantial differences. So the main difference is that in a DEX, there is no central entity and transactions happen on what is called a blockchain. Trading is done using smart contracts and orders are executed on-chain. This means that the exchange doesn't have direct control of users' crypto assets during the entire process. And DEXs also don't interact with fiat money, and as a result, they won't ask for your personal details, your ID, or bank details for KYC or AML compliance. Now, there's a variety of DEXs, but there's three main ones that I think you should know about, and they are order book DEXs, DEX aggregators, and automated market makers or AMMs. So let's briefly talk a little bit about AMMs or automated market makers. So AMMs are the most popular DEXs in the market today. AMM systems use smart contracts to address liquidity issues. The smart contracts in the AMM DEXs don't match buy orders and sell orders. Instead, they leverage liquidity pools of pre-funded pools of assets, which are an essential cog in the wheel of AMM-based DEXs. Now, the liquidity pools in AMM DEXs are funded by users called liquidity providers. They get rewarded with transaction fees based on their respective pairs, besides being allowed to execute orders and earn interest. However, LPs might suffer from something that's called impermanent loss. To learn more about this, check out the video in the description below. And the best example of AMM DEXs include Banker, Balancer, SushiSwap, Curve, and Uniswap. So, what are some of the key differences between CEXs and DEXs? Well, both CEXs and DEXs have their own advantages and disadvantages. So let's first talk about access. If you use a DEX, you control your crypto tokens. However, in centralized systems, it's the service provider who has specific control over your funds and accounts. And having a third party with some control is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, Say you lose your private keys, the exchange could come in handy and run some backup to enable you to retrieve your funds. The downside, however, is that you could lose all your funds if the centralized exchange gets hacked. Now, another difference is that compared to CEXs, DEXs have relatively new features. DEXs enable users to borrow funds to leverage their positions, and they lend funds to passively earn interest or provide liquidity to collect trading fees. DEXs also enable traders to automatically convert one crypto to another. Unfortunately, CEXs do not necessarily support these additional features, but with CEXs you can use fiat money to buy cryptocurrency. You can't use fiat money to trade on a DEX. And also, DEXs don't have unique features like limits, stop loss, or margin trading that are available on a CEX, although there are other protocols out there that enable this for DEXs. Another difference is in regulatory requirements. Now, centralized exchanges obtain operating licenses in many jurisdictions, making them more liable to follow a country's rules and regulations. And this is why you have to give your identification documents before trading on a CEX. But since decentralized exchanges run on a distributed blockchain model, they're not bound by any legal requirements anywhere. You don't have to give a single identification document before you can trade in a DEX. Just a wallet and you're good to go. Okay, now let's talk about security. Now, CEXs store users' funds, and because of this, they're more prone to cyber attacks than DEXs. And in this regard, since their wallets are custodial, they hold authority over your crypto. Now, going by the famous phrase, not your keys, not your coin, it is safe to say that CEX wallets create a security risk for traders and investors. On a positive note though, since most CEXs offer custodial and cold storage of digital assets these days, they've started using cold wallets to ensure users' funds are secure, even if the exchange suffers an attack. Okay, let's go over to liquidity. So centralized exchanges have a broader client base and therefore a higher trading volume. The multiple market participants buying and selling different types of digital assets provide a constant flow of supply and demand, enabling exchanges to maintain higher liquidity. DEXs, on the other hand, don't have multiple users buying or selling crypto assets, and so they have a lower trade volume and lower liquidity owing to lower market participation. New and emerging DEXs simply just cannot compete with large and well-established centralized exchanges in terms of liquidity. And without the desired liquidity, decentralized exchanges are simply just unsuitable for large orders, which can bring concerns of unprecedented additional costs or slippage, which is the difference between the expected price of an order and the price when the order actually executes. Then when we take fees into consideration, trading in a DEX environment draws zero or very little in fees compared to CEXs. This is especially true for traders who participate in multiple higher value transactions. In comparison, CEXs extract a fee for every transaction in exchange for the service rendered, but the fees are relatively low compared to what traditional operators charge. And then how popular are CEXs versus DEXs? Well, the decentralized exchange model of trading cryptocurrencies is still relatively new. The main drawbacks are the lower liquidity and market participation. The centralized exchange model is still more popular within the crypto community for trading and investment relative ease of access. And then CEXs require KYC or AML details of all users to make sure there's no money laundering or other illicit activities. On the other hand, a DEX is simply a code that, like I said, doesn't require proof of identity. All transactions can be tracked on the blockchain and therefore providing pseudonymity. Also, CEXs support fiat money onboarding and cash out, meaning that users can use cash to buy and sell cryptocurrencies and vice versa. However, DEXs are hosted on blockchains and only support crypto-to-crypto transactions. Now, CEXs can select which crypto assets that users can withdraw or deposit at their discretion. However, DEXs almost always process any transaction. Now, what does the future hold for both CEX and DEX? Well, the battle between CEX versus DEX is a mixed bag. DEXs offer everything that cryptocurrencies were created to do: privacy, anonymity, and security. However, their greatest undoing is the fact that they are still new and can be a little complicated for the average user. CEXs, on the other hand, have the numbers, with over 99% of the market cap for cryptocurrency exchanges. And additionally, most people only use decentralized exchanges to purchase altcoins. However, decentralized exchanges are beginning to challenge incumbent centralized exchanges by offering lower transaction fees and letting users directly hold their own assets and avoid some cumbersome regulatory burdens. They attract more assets, including those that CEXs don't touch. DEXs may take a little time before catching up with CEXs, but since the future of finance looks decentralized and DEXs act as a gateway for greater mass adoption of two emerging blockchain frontiers, DeFi and NFT, that future may arrive sooner rather than later. So what is best for you? Since both CEXs and DEXs have their advantages and disadvantages, it's up to each trader themselves to make the ultimate decision on their preferred mode of trading. However, the most prevalent trend has been for newbies to choose CEXs as they begin their investment journey and later graduate to DEXs once they have learned the ropes. Now, the decision on what type of platform you'll choose between a CEX and a DEX is personal, but it boils down to two essential factors. Are you interested in a system that's easy to use and you don't want to get tied down to control your crypto wallet? Well then, a CEX would be the best option for you. Or are you interested in anonymity, total control of your assets, paying lower fees, and a gateway to DeFi and NFTs? Well then, DEX is the way to go for you. If you want to get more insights on CEX versus DEX and all other things crypto, let us know in the comments below. And remember to like, subscribe, and follow us on our socials for future alpha. See ya!